If your makeup is always looking too warm or too orange and you haven't found a way to fix that yet, you might have a winter complexion and this video might just be for you. I used to have the same exact problem and today I want to show you how I fixed it. Hey, I'm Isa, welcome to Making It Up. This is my everyday natural deep winter makeup routine that I do to enhance my deep winter complexion on the daily without too much fuzz. It's quick, it's easy, and it is totally recreatable for the everyday. If you're a recurring viewer of the channel, you probably are familiar with the term deep winter, but if you're not, or you're still trying to figure out seasonal color analysis, let me give you the rundown. I wrote it down so that I can be very precise. Being a deep winter simply means you have cool or olive undertones, dark or rich coloring, and naturally high contrast between your skin, your eyes, and your hair. I'm not an expert, this is just what I've been able to gather from doing my research. You can get your color analysis professionally done. I kind of did it in an app and it kind of made sense with what I see in the mirror, so you can go about it your way, but that is just a little bit of a rundown. Another thing to keep in mind if you are a deep winter or you suspect you might be, warm tone products tend to clash with deep winter complexions. And no matter how well you apply your makeup, you could be a professional at applying your makeup, but if you're using shades that are not compatible with deep winters, your makeup is always gonna look off. I'm not saying never wear like a warm tone product ever again. Just know that when you do, it's not gonna be as flattering as when you use shades that are made to enhance your features. I have spent a lot of time testing and experimenting with products, and everything that I'm using today is made to work with the contrast that I have in my complexion, not against it. This is not an intimidating situation. It is not rocket science. I was able to figure it out doing some deep research, and you can too. This is a natural makeup look that I've been doing almost every single day that I do my makeup for the past few months because I'm not a huge fan of doing full glam on the daily, but I still want to enhance my features. So this is approachable. You don't need to be an expert. Anyone can do this. Let me show you. For skin prep, I always keep it very, very easy and simple. My skincare routine does most of the heavy lifting. Sometimes I do like to use a primer if I feel a little bit too dry or I'm feeling a little too oily. Today it is very hot outside, so I want to add a little bit of the Danessa Myricks. I always forget the name of this. The Yummy Skin Universal Blurring Balm Powder. This is amazing to help blur the oils in your skin. So as long as I do my skincare routine, I tend to be okay. But sometimes, you know, if I want something a little extra, I'll just apply either something more hydrating or grippy if I want my makeup to last a long time, or something to blur out the pores and control the oils in my skin. The base is very important even if we're not doing much, because this is a natural look. I don't do a lot with my base, but you have to keep in mind that the undertone of your base is very important, whether you're wearing a skin tint, a tinted moisturizer, only a little bit of concealer, even like a tinted sunscreen. You're looking for a cooler undertone product. So if you're wearing a foundation, skin tint, concealer, whatever, always look for products that are either N for neutral or C for cool. Just look for cool, neutral, cool, or olive undertones. They're gonna work best for you and they're gonna clash the least. I know it can be very hard to do that, so just, you know, experiment, kind of guide yourself by those rules. One base product that I've been loving and I find that is really good for my undertone is the Herborian BB Cream Nude in the shade Nude. This is a 5-in-1. I only use it as like a base because it is very natural and I really like how it makes my skin look. And this has a cooler, like almost pink, but it's not pink because my skin isn't pink. And I find that it blends very, very well with my skin. So I like to apply an even base. I don't want to cover everything. I just want my skin to look more even. And you know what? Sometimes when you're wearing a skin tint, it is a little more forgiving because it's not full coverage. So if you don't get the undertone match perfectly, it's fine. But if you are wearing a foundation or something more full coverage, that's when those rules are a bit more important. But as a rule of thumb for me, I always try to look for things that match me and my undertone, not just like my skin tone. And I'll do a little bit more of the heavy lifting with the concealer because I do tend to have bad under eyes all the time. They're my problem area. I am using the Illusionist Skin Focused Concealer in the shade L2 Neutral. The shade that follows this one is L2 Olive, which is also beautiful if you have more of an olive undertone. I like to keep the concealer a little bit more neutral. This is great. Maybe it'll be a little too light for me right now because I did get a bit tan. This definitely has more medium coverage, so it's gonna work very well to cover my dark circles that live with me. For the under eyes, I do want to cover a little bit more, but I still want to keep it natural. I don't mind if a bit of darkness shines through because this is a natural look. But if I feel like there's still too much, I always apply a little more in specific areas. I do like to set my face because I do tend to have a little bit more of a combo, like normal to combo skin. So I do like to set, I'm going in with my Cover FX Translucent Light powder. I believe this has been discontinued, unfortunately. But I always like to use a bit of powder, and I always try to use a translucent powder. This one has a bit of a yellowish tint, but it doesn't shine through when you apply it on your skin. I just find the translucent powder helps keep the undertone of your base the same. Sometimes powders that have more color to them might have a different undertone, and then it could really change the undertone of your base, making it look not as flattering. So I just apply a bit of powder to the T-zone and under the eyes to set. I've been yapping for like 5 minutes and then I realized I didn't press record. Sorry about that. We're talking about cheek products because cheek products kind of play a key role. As deep winters, we usually want to avoid bronzers because they tend to look too, like they're already warm, and on deep winter complexions, they tend to look too warm to the point where it's orangey and ugly. Me personally, I do enjoy a bit of bronzer. I enjoy the dimension that it gives and the subtle warmth. Like, I do enjoy that. So I kind of work around this rule a little bit by either using a bronzer like the Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer by Makeup by Mario. I use the shade Light Medium. I have already applied this because I thought that I was applying and talking, but apparently I wasn't recording. So I either use this, which right now, because I just applied it, it does look a little bit very warm, but as the day goes by, it kind of tones down. I either do something sheer like this, or I use a contour product as my bronzer because even though contours are meant to be cooler toned, they still warm up a little with my skin. That is just how, you know, color theory works, apparently. So yeah, I'll either do that, but I find that for the everyday, a sheer bronzer is more natural, so I'll just apply a bit of this everywhere to add a bit of dimension to the face. You can totally erase bronzer from your routine if it's not something that you love. For me, I do really enjoy it. I'm always on the hunt for cool tone bronzers. They are very hard to find. Impossible. Like, I haven't really found any that aren't contours. And even contour, it's hard to find a contour that is cool tone enough that doesn't turn warm once I apply it. So unfortunately, it's tough, but it's possible, okay? Do whatever you want. Blush, on the other hand, is one of my favorite parts of the makeup look because we have a lot of options. We can use mauves, dusty or rosy pinks, and berries. I love a berry blush. Berry is not the color you usually think about when you're thinking about a natural blush or a natural look, but it can be done. I love using my Glossier Cloud Paint in the shade Storm, and I really enjoy this one because you can sheer it out or build it up, and it is quite long lasting. The color can be intimidating. It's kind of a berry, mauve berry. It's like dusty. And this is a shade that really enhances me. I'm applying a little bit more than I would so that I can show you the effect of it because it doesn't show on camera as well. And I love this. Sometimes I'll even add it to my lids as like a faux eyeshadow. But this really brings out like the tones in my skin. It brings out my eyes. I used to be the biggest fan of peach blush. I loved it, but it does not look great on me. So I still have all my peach blushes and they've gone untouched for a while because I just prefer how these type of shades look on my complexion. One other thing that I like to add that has nothing to do with my deep winter complexion is freckles. I love a faux freckle. I don't produce freckles on my own, and I just like to add them to my everyday looks to make them look a little more natural. So I'm using the Tarte Go With The Faux freckle stamp in the shade medium. And I really enjoy this product. And I'll only do a few. Okay, I fucked up there, but it's fine. It's easy to remove if I don't like the placement. And I'll only do a few like along my nose. Now let's talk about brows. And brows are surprisingly important because they frame the face, they add contrast, and contrast is everything to a deep winter. Now I'm still doing the natural version of this. You can really go in and carve out your brows if that's something that you like. I have pretty bushy brows, so I don't find that I need to define them every single day, but I do want to enhance them a little bit. Now, when you're thinking about your brows, always try to go for a pencil, a pomade, whatever you're using. Try to match it as close to your actual color and undertone because a warm brow product can destroy your life, trust me. So always try to match as best as you can. There are a lot of great brow pens and pencils and pomades out there, and even brow gels that are tinted that have cooler undertones. Always try to look for those. I am currently using and experimenting with the Air Perez Argan Brow Hero, and this is the shade Perfect. They only have 3 shades, not the greatest, and this is the second darkest, and I really like it because it's not too warm, but it's not too dark either. So I'll just run this along my brows. And you see the difference. It doesn't do all that much, but it adds a bit more contrast, which is something that enhances my complexion. If you have sparser brows, you might want to, fill them in a little more or not. I just find that a tinted brow gel for the everyday, unbeatable. There's also a lot you can do with your eyes, but because this is a natural look and my daily look, I like to keep it very simple. Rule of thumb, always try to stick to cooler tones. So if you want neutrals, try to stick to cool neutrals, taupes, grays, black, like chocolate rich brown that isn't too warm. I know that deep winters thrive when they have like a defined dark smoky eye, like it really brings out your eyes and stuff. Because this is more of a natural look, I don't want to do that. If I was doing a glam, that would work perfectly, but I only want to define my eyes a little bit. I'm not doing much, but I do want to add a bit of extra contrast than what I have naturally. So I like to line my eyes with a brow pencil. This is actually from NYX in the shade Espresso, and this was too light for my brows. So I started using it as like my liner to define in a Nina Park kind of way. If you're familiar with Nina Park makeup, she likes to like very softly line and define the eyes without it being too harsh. I've been loving that, so I've been using this one for that. But you can use literally anything. A brown, a black, a purple, like a deep burgundy or purple. Those are all shades that will work very well for deep winters, but I want to keep it very, very, very natural. So I just like to run this along the entirety of my lash line. Sometimes I wing it out, sometimes I don't. And this is insanely subtle. Like you're almost not gonna notice it, but it does add a little bit something extra. And one thing that I like to do is add it here to like the inner triangle of the eye. And it really like makes my eyes pop a little bit more. I find that eyeliner is a very easy way to add more contrast. And if you're using a shade that is very soft, you don't even have to worry about being too precise. And then one thing that I believe is crucial for deep winter complexions or high contrast is mascara. Mascara really gives you more contrast. A great way to just open up your eyes and open up your face is by wearing a mascara. So I never skip mascara. I love mascara. I'm currently using the Refi Black Lash Sculpt. I just repurchased this and I love it. It's one of my favorite mascaras ever. When I'm doing a natural look, I tend to go for length and curl instead of volume so that things look a little more natural, and this gives me both good length and perfect curl that lasts all day. Usually I curl my lashes as well, but today I forgot my lash curler, so we're pretending. But this just adds the perfect amount of contrast to enhance without being too intense, which is what I want for my daily looks. And I usually only do my top lashes, but that's preference. Like you can do whatever you want. But yeah, I find that mascara just opens up my eyes, gives me the exact amount of contrast that I need. I can never live without my mascara. I also have a lot of fun in the lip category because there's a lot you can do. You can go very, very sheer light. You can take it very intense. Lip shades, lipstick or lip product shades are kind of like blush shades in the sense that mauves, berries, nude pinks that are cooler, deep reds, they all look very, very nice as long as they're on the cooler side. Because I'm keeping it very natural today, I'm not gonna go super intense, but with a look like this, you could actually amp it up with a beautiful like red lipstick or beautiful like deep berry. On the daily, I like to keep it very simple and just use a sheer tinted lip balm because I can just reapply without needing to look in the mirror. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So I like to use my Edam lip softening balm in the shade Fig Sauce, which is kind of like a berry mauve. These smell really good. And because I have tiny lips, I do like to line them a little bit. I'm currently really enjoying the Versed lip frame in the shade Match. It's kind of like a grayish taupe cool tone situation. I'm very much enjoying this formula, and I like to do a little bit on the lowest, like poutiest part of my lip, and then right on the cupid's bow. To add a bit of extra definition, gives me a little bit more pout, makes things look larger than they are. And then I'll just go in with my Edam lip balm. And this just adds the perfect hint of color without being too much. And it kind of goes very well with the blush. They're kind of in the same realm. So a little bit of a monochrome look going on there never fails. It gives me something a little extra to my lips, but it's not too much. It's perfect for every day and it's very, very comfortable. But again, you can do whatever you want. Let me come in a little closer to give you like the full look rundown. This is what we're looking like right now. So as you can see, it's very natural, very enhancing without needing much technique. You don't need to be an expert. That is the beauty of learning to do your makeup according to your color analysis. So this is just my version of adding a bit more contrast to my face without going overboard. It's not rocket science, as I said. I'm not reinventing anything. And, you know, obviously my features would pop a lot more if I had a very defined contour or a very deep, dark, smoky eye. But that's not what we're trying to do here. We want to keep it natural. That is not realistic for the daily, but this is definitely much more approachable and it achieves the goal that I'm trying to achieve. And possibly the best part about this look is that it only takes about 15 minutes. As long as you like master it, you can do it in your sleep, trust me. I was obviously explaining a lot to you guys today, so it didn't take me 15 minutes, but if I wasn't talking, I would breeze through it and you would too, because as I said, you don't need to be an expert. You just need to test things out and try the shades that work for you. So if you're a deep winter, give this look a try and let me know what you think. And if you have any other like specific makeup struggles regarding your seasonal color analysis, drop them down below and I'll do my best to help you out. Thank you for hanging out with your favorite deep winter gal. I hope to see you right here for my next one. Bye. Mwah.